The first thing I noticed wasn't the darkness, it was the silence. That thick, unnatural silence that wraps around you like a blanket soaked in cold water, pressing down, making it hard to breathe. Then the lights went out. It was 6:47 in the evening. I remember the exact time because I was staring at the microwave clock when it happened. 1 second it read 6:47, and the next, nothing. Black. The hum of the refrigerator died. The TV cut off mid-sentence. Even the faint buzz I never noticed coming from the ceiling lights, gone. The whole apartment fell into a silence I hadn't experienced since childhood, camping deep in the woods far from any road. I figured it was a normal outage, maybe a transformer blew. It happens. I grabbed my phone off the counter and flipped on the flashlight. Walked to the window. The street below looked the same. A few parked cars, an empty sidewalk, the corner store with its neon sign now dark. I waited 5 minutes, then 10. I called my neighbor Marcus. No answer. Called my mom upstate. Went straight to voicemail. That's when something small but cold moved through my chest. I pulled on my jacket and stepped outside. The hallway felt different without the hum of the ventilation system. Every footstep on the stairs echoed too loudly, like sound was carrying farther than it should. When I pushed through the front door and stepped out onto the street, I stopped. It wasn't just my building. The entire block was dark. Every street light, every window. The gas station 200 yards down, dead. The traffic lights overhead swung gently in the evening wind, blank and lifeless. I stood on the sidewalk and looked in both directions. No headlights, no noise from the highway, a half-mile east where there was always the constant low roar of traffic. Nothing, just wind moving through the trees and the sound of my own breathing. A woman was standing on her porch across the street, arms crossed, staring up at the sky. An older man appeared at his window on the second floor of the building next to me, silhouetted against the pale outdoor light. The only light, the last dying glow of the sunset behind the clouds. We made eye contact through the glass. He shook his head slowly. That gesture hit me harder than anything else had up to that point. I went back inside and turned on my battery-powered radio. An old thing my father gave me years ago. The kind he called practical. I'd always thought he was paranoid. Now I twisted the dial through static, through dead frequencies until I caught fragments of something. Widespread outage affecting multiple states. Authorities are asking citizens to remain calm. No confirmed cause at this time. Do not, repeat, do not attempt to. Then static again. Multiple states. I sat on the edge of my couch in the dark and let that sink in. Not a blown transformer. Not a local grid issue. Multiple states. I tried to think logically. A cyber attack on the power grid. A massive infrastructure failure. A solar event. I'd read articles about all these things, scenarios that experts had warned about for decades, buried in reports that nobody pays attention to until it's too late. I pulled out a notebook, physical, paper, and started writing down what I had. Half a tank of gas in my car. 1 flashlight with good batteries, the old radio. About 4 days of food if I didn't push it. 2 gallons of water in jugs I kept under the sink. Again, thanks to my father's quiet insistence. A lighter. Some candles in a drawer somewhere. Not enough, not even close to enough. I decided to move while there was still some light left. The corner store was dark but unlocked. The owner, a man named Ray, who I'd spoken to maybe 30 times over 2 years without ever learning his last name, was standing behind the counter with a battery lantern. 3 other people were in the store, moving quietly through the aisles filling baskets. You know what's happening? I asked Ray. He put both hands flat on the counter. No more than you do. I got a CB radio and back. People are saying the grid's down coast to coast, but nobody knows why. Coast to coast. The words didn't feel real. I grabbed canned food. Beans, tuna, soup, peanut butter, crackers. I grabbed 2 large water bottles, a bag of batteries, a box of matches. I grabbed things I wouldn't normally think twice about. Salt, a small hand-cranked flashlight, a prepaid lighter. Ray didn't charge me full price. He looked at what I put on the counter, looked at my face, and just said, "Pay me back when the world's working again." I don't know if he believed that would ever happen. I'm not sure I did either. Back in my apartment, I barricaded myself in and organized everything on the kitchen table under candlelight. The city outside was getting darker. Somewhere in the distance, maybe 3 or 4 blocks east, I heard shouting. Not danger-level shouting, more like frustration. People arguing in the street. Then, around 9 o'clock, I heard the first car alarm, then a window breaking. Then, nothing again. I turned off the candle on the table and moved to my bedroom window, staying low, watching the street below. A handful of people with flashlights were moving in the direction of the main avenue. Fast, purposeful, not panicked, strategic, which somehow felt worse. I checked the locks on my door twice. I sat in the dark and listened. By midnight, the city was not the city anymore. It was a landscape. Still, dark and alien, the kind of quiet that used to belong only to 3 a.m. on the emptiest nights had spread to every hour. The familiar rhythm of the place I'd lived for 6 years. The garbage trucks, the distant music from the bar on 5th, the couple upstairs with their arguing and their laughter. All of it erased. I finally forced myself to lie down. I didn't sleep at 2019 in the morning. I know because I was watching my phone's battery count down, using it as little as possible. I heard something that made me sit up straight. A vehicle, not a car. Something heavier, a truck, or maybe two, moving slowly down the street below without headlights. I pressed against the wall next to the window and looked down at an angle. Black vehicles, military shape. No markings I could see in the dark. They stopped at the intersection below my building. 3 figures got out. They stood in the middle of the empty street, and one of them held something up, a device of some kind, pointing it slowly in different directions, like a compass finding north. Then they got back in and drove away. No announcement, no loudspeaker. No, everything is fine. Just 3 figures in the dark, checking something I couldn't identify and disappearing into the night as silently as they'd come. I stayed pressed against that wall for a long time after the sound of the engine faded. What were they looking for? And why didn't they want anyone to see them? Day 2 is coming, and I don't think the answers are going to make me feel any better.